Hi my honeys, Erica here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you how to recreate this library wall that I did using Ikea Billy bookcases. This is definitely the biggest Ikea hack I have ever done. So I had to call in some reinforcements for this project. So you're gonna see a couple special guests in this video today, and I hope you will follow my friend on her channel and leave some love in the comments for my other special guests who you've seen before on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and check out this video. Let me show you my special guests.
I look like a farmer and I like it.
I feel like a farmer. This is my dad. You guys have seen him do the slat wall fireplace in my last house, and this is your first project in this house. And you'll probably do some more, right?
Sure.
And this is Crystal from Perkins on Parkway. If you guys are not following her on everything, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, go subscribe, go follow her. She's one of the most talented DIYers. I'm so glad that I had you out here for this, and grateful. Because really, I put her to work. She's only seen the four walls of my house this time. But we had a great time. We almost are done with the shelves behind us, but by the time you're seeing this video, you're gonna see everything. Thank you guys so much. I love you both. And I appreciate your help because it was really hard. It wasn't too bad, honestly, but this is one of the more in-depth projects. So let's get started, and I'm gonna take you guys through the entire process, start to finish. I started off this project by priming and painting every single one of the pieces of the Ikea Billy bookcases that I purchased. You can skip this step if you decide that you want to spray or paint the bookcases after the fact. I just thought I would save myself some hassle and some time by priming and painting ahead of time. Although full transparency here, I ended up having to paint the bookshelves all over again once they were installed because we got some dings and some dents and some dust on the bookshelves while installing them. So it's up to you whether you want to prime and paint beforehand or after the fact, but I highly recommend using Zinsser's Bin Shellac Primer. This stuff is great for adhering to IKEA surfaces. It goes on kind of bumpy like this, but dries smooth, and it's really great for adhering any kind of paint. I am using actually a Sherwin Williams paint, but I had it custom color matched out of a Faro and Ball color called Railings. I'm using their Emerald Enamel trim paint line. This stuff is amazing. It does take a full 30 days to cure, so I wouldn't put any decor on the bookshelves until a couple of weeks after painting, just to make sure you don't damage the paint. This stuff is super opaque, and you usually only need 2 coats. Here's me finishing up all the painting, and then I want to show you what the paint looks like when it dries. It's super smooth, super even, and it's self-leveling and does not scratch easily. We did get some scratches when we installed the bookcases, but not many at all. Once I had all of the bookcases painted, I assembled them one by one, leaving the height extensions off for now, just so that they were easier to move around the room. Then once everything was prepped, my dad flew in from Illinois to come help me do the install, and we went to Home Depot, grabbed a bunch of 2x6s to get started on building the bases. My dad wasted no time and got to work using my miter saw to cut down the 2x6s to build out our frame. These are 2x6s that we have laid on edge against the wall. We cut 2 pieces because it's easier to work with.
And then
2
you don't
halves.
have to buy 14-foot lengths.
Exactly. Okay, so we have the entire base screwed in here, and then we are bang on level, baby. So now we're going to put one of the bookcases on just to test the base and go from there. Ready? This is the back, obviously.
Right.
So.
You're gonna,
Yep, I'm spinning. Look at me spinning. Oh. Is it level? Yeah, baby! We
Awesome.
level queen. Now we need to add supports on either side of the bookcases to hold them in place. I'm using a stud finder and marking all of the studs on the wall so we can make sure that we try to at least hit a few studs along the way. And I'm cutting some pieces to make our wall supports. Basically, we're building the same thing that we built on the bottom on the wall.
Come visit me in Cleveland where I make you work. Look at this crew.
We are assembling the wall supports on the floor. It's made of a 2x6 that is the height of our IKEA bookcases plus the extension unit. And then it's the depth. Those smaller pieces are the depth of our bookcases. And then we're going to add another 2x6 to the front of that once the backs of the bookcases are in. So it'll serve as a nice structural support between the bookcases. And it'll serve as a support piece for the railing we're putting up because I'm getting a sliding library ladder. Here I'm screwing the bottom piece of the wall support into the base, and what I'm using is called a countersink bit to pre-drill my holes. The countersink bit allows us to sink our 3-inch wood screws beneath the surface of the wood so that we can maintain our perfectly level surface for the bases.
What?
Not
You're
gonna
micromanaging this? What?
No, I'm saying it's not gonna make much difference here. Work it that way. There you go. Make sure you hit that board, and then that one comes in that way.
Okay.
So slightly, it doesn't have to come on a big angle, just slightly. So,
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
That ain't going nowhere.
Right.
I am high up.
Badass.
And then here, hand me the other one. I can do it.
Oh, you have to go slow. Is that still at a good angle, Dad?
Yeah, that's good. There you go. See how pull that in? Pull that in?
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I feel like Tim the Toolman Taylor. More power.
I'll screw this in to the side here. Well, actually, we have this front piece in, and it will be like, it cannot go anywhere. Like, this is how you make IKEA. Unfortunately for them, not IKEA. I mean, we love IKEA because it's cheap, but we do need to add to make it a little bit more structurally sound.
We use our basic framing.
Mm-hmm.
And we slid another bookcase frame in just to make sure everything was nice and level, and it was. I just wanted to quickly point out to you guys that we also used 2x4s on the ends only because that's what our wall space would allow. Our wall is 152 inches wide approximately, and we had space for only a 2x4 on the end.
Okay guys, here's where we're at with the library wall. What we've done is we've gotten all of the support braces up the wall with basically our faceplates just resting here right now. The first thing we have to do before we can screw in these faceplates is we have to get all the backs on the cabinets. And Crystal and I, we painted all of the backs out of 1/2-inch MDF. We're going to nail them in to the back here, and then we can set these back, and then we're gonna put the faceplates on, and then we can screw them on from inside. And we also have the structure a little bit higher because we have the top extension units for the IKEA Billy bookcases. This is gonna give us a little extra height and a few more shelves, so that's why the support braces go all the way up to there.
We picked up 1/2-inch thick MDF 4-foot by 8-foot project panels to serve as the backs of our IKEA bookcases. These will be a lot sturdier, and the employee at Home Depot was kind enough to rip them down for us to the size that we needed for the backs of our bookcases, which is around 31 inches. I woke up the next morning and got after it and was painting all the backs of the bookcases so we wouldn't have to do that after installing them. So these I didn't prime because they took really, really well to the paint. This MDF really drinks in the paint very well. And then all we had to do was cut them down to the correct height. We only had to cut MDF panels to the height of the original size of the bookcases because the extension units come with put their own sturdy backs on them. So we just used a handsaw to quickly cut these down. It didn't have to be perfect because some of it was going to be hidden behind the frame. If you wanted to, you could use beadboard, you could use the original backing that comes with the IKEA bookcases, but we just wanted a clean, sturdy, smooth look, which is why we went with the 1/2-inch MDF panels. I'm sorry I don't have any footage of this, but we used my Dewalt brad nailer to nail the backing board onto the back of the bookcases, and then we put it back into place. We forgot that we have an outlet to cut out of this one, so we decided to move it over and address the cutout situation a little bit later. Once we had all the bookcase backs on, we put them in place and then add all of the height extension units on top of them. This is really simple. It's just a little cam lock thing that comes with the IKEA extension unit. Very easy to put on, not hard at all. Then my dad started screwing in all of the face plates for our structural supports. He's screwing in the 2x6s and then on the very ends, 2x4 face plates. And see, he's got green tape there to mark where his center structural piece is so he knows where to screw it in. Now the shelves are really starting to look like something. We have all the face plates on, and it was time to sort of work out what we were gonna do as far as trimming it out.
My pro tip for this project is to not be married to the design that you originally came up with. You're gonna have odd-shaped walls. When you get things on the wall, they might look a little different than you had imagined. Be flexible. Let the design sort of evolve as you have the pieces on the wall. We changed this trim like 3 or 4 different times while putting this project together. I'm so happy that we did, and we didn't use the original design because it actually turned out so much better because we were willing to sort of let the design show itself what it wanted to be.
Necessarily have to put the 1x4 all the way up and down. I mean, we could stop at 2 or 3 inches from it since we've got that 45, and it's more like decor than it is.
Yeah,
coming.
it's just like an applique. And then
Yeah.
we will also be doing it in the corner. Erica?
I'm with you. You guys are just a good time, honestly. Look at this tag team. I love it. Once all of the brainstorming was done, my dad got to work on putting the top support pieces in. So we are going to be putting some crown molding on top, and we need something to be able to nail the crown molding into. So what my dad's doing is he's putting on these little face plates just so that he can pull his 2x4s in the exact position he needs them in to be able to support a 2x6 in front of it. It'll make more sense in a second, but he's going to do this first, and then he's going to screw in 2 stacked 2x4s as a structural support, and then he's going to put a 1x8 board in front of that. That's why he's using that board there to get that 1-inch thickness. I guess another way of explaining it is we are building out some depth. So that way we can put a 1x8 board and then the crown molding can be nailed into that and not be pushed in. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. And as you can see, there are 2 stacked 2x4s, and my dad is nailing in the front piece in front of that. So that's going to serve as sort of the piece that we adhere our crown molding to. That will cover that gap at the top. That's why we're leaving that gap there, because the crown molding is going to cover it.
Pageant wave. This is the only tricky thing about Menards, is this is how you have to get your wood. You have to climb up these stairs and hand it down to the person next to you. She's a trooper.
While my dad totally ditched us to watch the NFL draft, Crystal and I worked into the wee hours of the night prepping for the front trim pieces. This is a 1x4 piece that's going to be behind our baseboards. We just need to build out a little depth.
It's perfect!
Shut the front door!
We nailed in the baseboard and we decided to call it a night. It was a very, very long day, but I woke up nice and early the next morning with Crystal, and we started caulking and wood filling a bunch of the holes. This was not the next step of the process, but my dad had to go get some more trim for us at the hardware store, so Crystal and I just made good use of the time.
now we have our bottom and our header on. Now it's time to trim out the entire front of the bookshelf, including all of the the shelves as well. And then these columns in between, we have an idea to do a little inset kind of look. So, Crystal and I, that's our part of the project. My dad just finished doing the header up there. Let's try to get to work. Hooah, ha, hooah.
We laid out all of our 1x8 pieces across each of the support plates, and we still were kind of brainstorming exactly how we wanted to attach these as far as height is concerned. I'll explain that in a second. I don't have footage of us installing it, but we ended up putting a 1x3 board all the way across the entire front above our baseboards to just really complete the trim. And then we started attaching all of the 1x8s. And then on top of that, we put 1x6s for a little bit of dimension. Okay, here's where we are right now. Jump in there, Crystal, and model. We have 2 of the columns fully done. We have 2 columns that just need the faceplate on them. And then we have trim to add all the way across each one of the shelves. Crystal added 1 here. That's what the thickness will look like with all of the shelves. So we have a lot to cut. 23 more to go, no big deal. But it'll be worth it.
Banging those out.
That's really how you make IKEA bookshelves look expensive, by adding that extra thickness. And all we've done is we've added it to the front, right? So it's flush with the shelf. So you're not gonna know that this was not this thick of a shelf.
And we're cutting every single one of these individually, so the cut is super, super tight in here.
And she's getting them
and
good.
it's looking really good.
Okay.
Okay, so we have trimmed out all of the front of the shelves with 1x2s. We have 1 more shelf to go. I just wanted to show you guys this process. Basically, we're tag teaming it, me and Crystal. I'm outside measuring, and she's yelling at me through the window what the measurements are, because you're gonna have some variation in the measurements. Some are gonna fit a little snugger than others. The best thing to do is measure each shelf, because you don't wanna cut all the same size and end up with some gaps or some that you're not able to fit in. So we're gonna go ahead and get our last shelf covers here, and wish us luck.
Now Crystal is just holding up the dental molding that I got from Architectural Depot that they gifted me. This stuff is huge, and I thought it would be the perfect accent to add above the bookshelves that gives that vintage feel. This is a very important part of this process. In order to get the sliding ladder railing onto the bookcases, I needed to make sure I quickly painted anywhere that I wasn't going to be able to reach after the ladder railing was on there. So I wanted to make sure I got a bunch of the bookcase painted and dry before my dad put the railing on, because I knew it would have been an absolute pain after the fact to paint. After the paint was dry, my dad started installing the library ladder railing. We got a kit. I will link it in the description box below, and we just followed the instructions to a T. I opted to leave the ladder the maple color because it already had a finish on it, and I liked the contrast. And then my dad put up the crown molding. He just did straight cuts on either side and the middle, because let me tell you, mitering this giant piece would have been nearly impossible. We just nailed it up with a brad nailer. You can use a pin nailer or a finish nailer as well. And I'm just gonna fill the nail holes and paint it. And that is going to be the end of this project, you guys. It really comes down to the finishing at the end, so make sure you caulk, you wood fill holes, and you do a good job painting. Okay, who is ready for the reveal of my biggest IKEA hack ever? Check it out.